In Jannah, alhamdulillah, we have very good food, excellent and delicious food. It's all pure, not just halal, but it's very pure. So we should mimic that state of life here in this world, that we do have a requirement to develop a sense of Jannah. And developing a sense of Jannah means that we tame our nafs. That in Jannah la yasma'una fiha lagwan wa la ta'thiman illa qilan salaman salama. So that ideal has to be replicated on earth. That on earth we don't go around backbiting, we don't go around, hurting people. We don't say anything that is harmful, detrimental to others, because in Jannah that won't happen. You won't hear anything that is foul, that is unfiltered, except for salam and salam. Meaning the ambiance that the people of Jannah live in is an ambiance that needs to be created here on earth first. Then you'll get a sense of what the community of Jannah is. People seem to understand or think that I'll be in Jannah by myself. You're not going to be by yourself. You can't be, a loner in Jannah. Allah will force you to socialize in Jannah. So get used to it. You're not holier than thou. Get used to people. People means that you have to be patient. And you have to take on whatever they say, because you have to create that environment. It requires effort for you to do that. So likewise in Jannah the food is spectacular, so we have to create that environment here through our businesses, our industries, the halal food industry, and the slaughterhouses, and we called it before that, in the farming, and the organic farming, and the processing of the meat, and the factories, and where we slaughter the animals, they have to be through the process of iḥsān. إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَتَبَ الْإِحْسَانَ فِي كُلِّ شَيْءٍ. Ihsān is in everything. حتى في الذبح, or especially in slaughtering, cutting animals, where number one, you don't hurt the animal unnecessarily, and number two, you have to make sure that it's clean and pure. The animal is drained of all impurities, so that the impurity doesn't come into us. But that's the Ihsān model that the Prophet, because it goes into kulu min al-tayyibat. The tayyibat starts with the initial farming of the animal, not just the end of the process where you make the dibh. So the industry then has to look forward to a whole scale change in attitude. So there might be a reason why some people might go into the campaign of owning farms and doing organic farming, where you're not feeding the animals. The idea of feeding the animal haram, I just said, right? So you can't feed the cow, meat, otherwise you get mad cow disease. It starts from there. The responsibility is there, way back from the source. The fiqh is not just here in how you cut the animal. The fiqh starts way before that. And that's why I think businessmen need orientation as to the tayyib, how to develop the tayyib process through ihsān, the institution of ihsān there. That's on this side. On the other side, mashallah, alhamdulillah, zabiha meat stores. I think they need sterilizing. They're the filthiest stores maybe on the street, which is indictment against the whole Muslim community. And we don't say anything because we tolerate it, and we shouldn't tolerate it. As customers we say, I want your shop to be clean. Why am I buying filthy, dirty, smelly meat in your shop? You're supposed to be zabiha, halal. So we as consumers, unless we make a noise, they won't do anything. They'll say, you'll see rats everywhere in the store, and you'll see mice droppings everywhere, and you see filth everywhere, you see blood everywhere. God forbid there's a, mashallah, a wonderful, nice Muslim convert who just accepts Islam yesterday and comes into a meat store. He's going to revolt, he's going to vomit. So that's the onus on the storeholder. There's no ihsan there. Inna Allah katab al-ihsāna fi kulli shay. Your ihsan is wajib on you. So as a customer service is wajib on you. That if you want people to eat good food, then make sure your shop is good and clean, super hygienic. So the service they receive is built on ihsan, not just sub-mediocre kind of trash. So I think we have our work cut out for us. It's not just that the food that you eat is pure, it's more about the back-end industry. And that's an effort that we should also emphasize, not just the food. Unless we talk about it, people, they're just status quo, who cares? Everybody's carrying, my meat is cheaper than the other guy across the road, so what the heck? As long as I make my money. That cannot be the objective. Objective must be that you have superb customer service. You must have ihsān. And it's not just about being white, it's about being Muslim. When you offer somebody something in a shop, then make sure the customer service is there. That's called ihsān. Likewise, when you're offering people, Muslims, meat, make sure that they feel like buying the meat, not vomiting. And we have places in the world, mashallah, if you go to some Muslim countries, they're very good. Because if you go to South Africa, you can eat off the streets. That's how clean and hygienic they are. That's how they serve you. And it's wrapped well, there's a box there. People are polite, they're not rude. Yeah. So I'm saying that these civilizational values, these adab, these etiquettes, how Muslims used to be, we need to revive them and bring them back into our lives, into our societies, and so on. So it starts from organic farming, and it comes all the way down through the process of processing meat, and then slaughtering the meat, handling the meat, serving the meat in the stores, customer service, all through ihsān. It cannot be without ihsān. Then you can say this is tayyib. MashaAllah, alhamdulillah, they took me to one place in California. This is a halal thing. I refused to walk into it, it stinks. I just refused to go in. I said, no, this is halal, this is Zabi Hasan. I said, I don't care, this is Zabi halal, it stinks. I'm not walking into the store. That's how you must be scrupulous. This is tayyib, right? Kulu min at-tayyibat, meaning that is tayyib all the way from start to finish. Yeah, so there you must protest. No, this is not right. I cannot accept this level of negligence and ghafla. He's going to come back to haunt you. So I'm saying is that we must speak about the whole industry. Not just piecemeal that you look at the ingredients in the wrapper, which you can, and say, okay, then this is maybe something that is not really that good, it might be suspect and even mashkook or something like that. But I think the initiative has to go a bit further back into the line, and start from how you raise the animal. So anyway, so that's why I mentioned the fiqh, that we are not allowed to feed animals haram. It starts from there. How you raise your animal, how you graze them, what you feed them, and all of that. Then it comes down all the way. So now that's the ihsān paradigm, and then all the way to serving the meat in the store. And all of that has to be polished. It has to represent a civilization that believes in hygiene and purity. If it doesn't, then you're not acting on this ayah. And that's what the Anbiya and the Rusul brought to the table, that you must have good ethics and manners and behavior. You must have a good sense of tayyib in your mind. And then the final product, which is the food that you eat, then obviously you have to start with Bismillah. ala barakatillah, you must make dhikr while you're doing eating, and you must not complain about the food, which is part of your tayyib process. Because tayyib is not just that you eating the food, tayyib is the whole process, from start to finish until you finish eating. Then after you finish eating, you make the dua, show your gratitude to the host and show your gratitude to Allah. When you are eating at someone's place, then you say, make the dua, Allahumma at'im man at'amani. You're sharing the shukr. Oh, I appreciate that you fed me. Allah, feed the one who fed me and give drink to the one who gave me drinks. That's part of the tayyib process. Because I'm saying the tayyib process is not limited just to the ingredient. Tayyib process is the whole action from start to finish. Then that is the meaning of Ya Ayyuhal Rusul, because the Rusul, they are representing the murad of Allah, they are representing Allah's intent. And Allah's intent is just not limited to eating the food on the table. It starts from the very beginning. So anyway, so that's how we must see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's fadl on this ummah is huge, and Allah reveals this ayah in the Quran to the Rusul, and then there's a apparent connection between eating pure food and doing good deeds. And those good deeds will then help the community, will help you. And one hadith of the Prophet, which most of you have heard before, is that someone travelling in the desert, he's asking Allah to accept my dua and all that. Allah, the Prophet said, then how does he expect Allah to answer his dua when his food is haram, ta'amuhu haram, and his clothing is haram, libasu haram, and his whole life is haram? So if it's all haram, how is Allah going to answer his call? He's not going to listen to you because you don't have the, what do you call it, ambience, or you don't have the infrastructure within which Allah can answer your dua. It's all haram. Your dua will be repelled even before it leaves your mouth. Right? Yeah. So that's again another process. The nurani side of this discussion is that if we want our du'as accepted, then we must eat halal. At least eating tayyib is even better. So that's part of the food discussion is, as the Prophet said to the Sahaba in Medina when he came, that you must at'imut ta'am. You must feed others food, which is part of the iḥsān process, and it's also part of the tayyib process. So complete the whole circle. In the ayah that talks about the food of the Ahl Kitab, فَطَعَامُ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ حِلٌّ لَكُمْ, the food meaning the meat of the Ahl Kitab is halal for you, according to the ikhtilaf or the interpretation there. But that's not what I want to highlight. What I want to highlight is the next part of the ayah, which everybody ignores conveniently. The next part of the ayah says, وَطَعَامُكُمْ حِلٌّ لَهُمْ. Your food, which is other than their food now, right? If you say their food is halal for you, then Allah says your food. Now, your food has to be other than the food that they give. So Allah says your food is halal for them. What does that mean? What does that mean? It's a social convention that don't be such misers and take from other people and be quick to adapt the norms and culture of the people. The giving hand is better than the receiving hand. So your food means you should be generous enough to show and share your food with other people. Right? That's the conclusion. That completes the circle of iḥsān, and that completes the circle of tayyib. That we must promote our food to non-Muslims, because when non-Muslims eat our food, they will perhaps find a need to think the way we do. Okay? That's the cultural exchange. You can go on your bandwagon and say, Allah says that the meat of the Ahl Kitab is halal. Baba, what's the next part of the ayah? The next part of the ayah says, no, don't eat their food because you're supposed to feed them your food. Right? That's the impetus there. That's the hukum of Allah, that your food is halal for them, so now give them your food. And you're going to give them their food because you should not be seen as somebody who's here just to mint everything that this system has to offer. You should be the ones giving, not taking. That's the culture of a Muslim. Now when you're in this country, let's take on the culture of this country. Why are you so desperate that you need to mimic and follow the attitudes and the values of other people? Why aren't you independent enough to say, my values are much better than yours, and here, if you don't believe me, taste my food because my food tastes 100 times better than your food. Hands down. Right? My one samosa is going to taste better than your hot dog. Hands down. In fact, you might just convert if you eat my food. Your food is dry and bland. Right? It's Gora food. My food, subhanAllah, it is prepared, it's delicious, it has all the masala, it has all the spices, all the ingredients of, you sitting down enjoying a meal. That's my food. Your food, potatoes here, carrots here. Allahu Akbar. We feel sorry for those people who eat that food. So Allah says, وَطَعَامُكُمْ, your food, حِلٌّ لَهُمْ, is halal for them, so make sure you feed them your food. Which is what the Prophet ﷺ said when he came to Medina, أَطْعِمُوا الطَّعَامِ, feed people food. That's your mission. That you are not just taking, borrowing, as inferiority complexes come into you. Oh, I gotta follow the law of the land, I gotta follow this. No, you don't. You give them your values because that's called da'wah. That's called what? That's called da'wah. You should be in the state of da'wah all the time, giving people what you believe is the truth. Why do you need to follow anything that they have? What they have is, you're not going to go on a rant and that, but it's not the best thing in the world. What you have definitely is the best thing in the world if you present it with iḥsān. And once you present it with iḥsān, there's nothing like you and your culture. You are the best, as the Qur'an says. But these are the values that you must promote. So I'm saying that we must now, inshaAllah, support our Asif in his initiative to provide Muslims a sense of direction when it comes to eating proper food, healthy food, and inshaAllah tayyib food. Allah make it happen, give him success and tawfiq.